Does it look okay? All right. Hey everybody, what's up? This is a talking head piece video. This is 100% like philosophical. I just want to share with you. I've actually recorded a similar video once or twice already. I just haven't shared it. In fact, it's sitting in my DaVinci Resolve, like, you know, they have little, like your projects. It's sitting there still. And then I'm going to do this in one take. I'm not going to edit this. I'm not going to cut out my ums and ams. I'm not going to do this where I'm trying to make it perfect. This is raw. And I got to thinking. So this morning, today is, what's the date today? It's Wednesday. Is this the 12th or 13th? Whatever the date is, December something. And I just spent the morning at my son's school helping out, volunteering for the Christmas party. Now, I feel very lucky. First of all, not many men sign up to do these things. Usually the moms go. So that was kind of interesting. But also I'm afforded a lifestyle and a job right now that I have that lets me do that. I can kind of manage my own schedule. I'm in sales. I'm in software sales. So anybody is curious what I do. And I've had some success. I've been very blessed and lucky. And I know that all can change in the change in the next year for sure, especially with economic output and stuff like that they're kind of projecting. And the reason why I tell you this is because, as I get older, I'm only 38, but there are a couple things that have happened in my life that made me acutely aware of time and how I spend them and how I'm screwing up a little bit and I need to fix it and how photography plays a role in that. And that's what this is actually about. Those events where I fell off a chairlift, I don't know, 4 years ago now, something like that, and almost died. My wife and I just miscarried our first kid, fell off a chairlift. It was a freak, weird accident. No, I wasn't drinking or screwing around. Just a weird thing, and I almost died. And shortly after that, we had our son together. So we have a stepdaughter. I have a stepdaughter, Mia. And then I have my son, who came just after that. And then I have my little baby daughter now. She's 2.5, Vera. So that's our kids. Those are our kids. And so that event was a huge. I mean, there were a lot of things that I honestly think by the grace of God, I was saved. The way I fell, the way just so many things transpired that had to be the right way for me not to either die, end up with some permanent brain damage, or end up paralyzed. And I didn't. I have recurring issues from it, but I'm okay. I'm still capable of doing things. Like I still play hockey and stuff like that. That was number one. Number two, what I mentioned already, was having kids, right? And then the third one is your parents getting older and thinking back just how it wasn't that long ago that they were driving me to school and they were driving me to my hockey practices, and how fast that has happened. And then it's getting married and it's getting older, and of course time's relative, meaning when you're younger, an hour is a bigger percentage of your overall lifespan than an hour is when you're 40. So life and time seems to move faster. And I'm acutely aware of this. And I get mad at myself. I get upset sometimes, and I get questioning about why I do the things I do. They're not a good waste of my time. You don't know when the end's going to be here. You never know when you're going to die. I could die right now on this chair, have a heart attack. Seems to be happening a lot lately, doesn't it? Or maybe just the news is reporting on it more. I don't know. But you don't know your end date. And so you got to start questioning things like what actually matters, right? Like, why spend time having a relationship with people that suck? Why spend time with friends that don't add any value? Why would you take the opportunity to sit in your phone or to have this job that requires you to be gone from your family when the time that your kids are actually around are such a small piece? There's a Jordan Peterson thing. I put it in the background in one of my clips where you have to the age of 5, and then it starts changing quite a bit. I was around my stepdaughter since, she was born, but really in her life, she was 4. And I've witnessed that. So that has made me acutely aware of what my 2 and 4-year-old, where they're at, and how fast that changes and how fast it goes. And, not taking the time to do something I did this morning is foolish. Work can wait. Work will wait. I'm not giving work another option. Obviously, I have to work to provide for those kids, so I can't be foolish. And I picked a job, candidly, that lets me have this. I was going to an office every day, an hour and a half drive each way, so 3 hours on the road every single day. And I was spending hours there, and it just, as every day you get up, 6 a.m., whatever it is, you come home at 5:30, 6 o'clock, scramble to have dinner, scramble to hopefully make it to your kids' events, whatever, go to sleep and do it again. I know a lot of you guys are like that. The pandemic has changed us a little bit, but I made a very active decision to get out of that. And one of the ways I did that was through this camera. Well, not this one, as we know. Through this camera and through my buddy. You've seen Ryan on here. He's currently my boss, actually. But he's actually my best friend. The boss thing is totally like fourth. It doesn't even matter. And he and I both were in automotive together. That's how we knew each other. And we decided to start making videos. Actually, he started to make videos on LinkedIn. And through that, we stood out like a sore thumb. Someone saw us, said, hey, you guys have automotive / industrial, manufacturing experience, but you're young and you got like this, you understand the social side. It'd be really interesting for you guys to come over and try the software space. And it's just not that easy. Like we also were messaging people in the background and, having kind of conversations, interacting and networking, and we got out of it. And one of the main things for me was to be able to do this. I'm sitting here in the middle of my work day. It's 11:50, and I'm having a conversation with you guys in the camera, and I just spent all this time with my kids. Time is the one thing that's a one-way transaction. We trade our time for money. We waste our time on our phones for social clout, for escapism, consumerism, whatever it is. And it's the one thing you can never, no matter how rich, how influential you are, how creative you are, you cannot buy time back. You just can't. And like I said, it's finite, and you don't know when it's over. And so I think I'm going to title this video, Why Photography Matters. It's a loose connection, but if anything else, if I just stop here and tell you the connection of photography, one of the things I want to do is figure out how I can be even more mindful of this and more aware and more involved with my family, my kids, my wife, my parents. My parents are getting older. Who knows? With them. And yeah, I got to make changes. I got to break habits. I got to stop doing certain things. Why the hell am I spending so much time looking at camera? It's a hobby. I get it, but who cares? Like, I don't really need anything more than this. Maybe the one I'm recording on. I don't know. It's stupid. I'm like you guys, though. I show up, and I like watching people's thoughts. But why? Why? If anything else, for the escapism piece, I'd rather take people on a journey. Go somewhere. Maybe people... Sorry, drinking a Sprite. Maybe people want to see what Michigan looks like in the fall, and I take them on that trip. I don't know. Some people that maybe aren't able to do things like that. Okay, so how does it contribute to photography? How does it matter? Why does it matter? And so I'll use my Leica here as an example because I think it's the purest form, and that's why I like this camera. It's also why I despise this camera. And I'm joking. I like it more than I dislike it. But this is the 28 on here, I think, right now. This is the 28. I see in 50. Photography for me, because I'm in such like a business world all the time, or in such like as far as automotive and like mechanical, and it's so like bits and bytes or nuts and bolts kind of thing, that this unlocks like a creative thing. But what I found interesting, two main things about this time aspect. One, it forces me, in fact, I enjoy having to see through the field of view of a 28 millimeter or a 50 millimeter or a 35 millimeter lens and seeing life. And you see life, I got this big messy house around me right now. It needs to be clean. And it's like, but what about just this section right here in front of me? How could I make something interesting out of that? Oh, look at the lights hitting this box that's behind this camera. You can't see it. That's interesting. Could I take a picture of it in black and white and contrast it? But what it's really doing is focusing me to see and be aware and be more present and more involved in the life around me. And that's really important. Going back to the time that stuff I just mentioned a little while ago. Hold on. Got a little sore throat. It's helping. Sprite's a winner. The other piece of it is my kids. I've got pictures all up on the wall here, and there's a bunch in the house. Some of them I took seems like yesterday. Maybe they were a year ago. The kids have changed a ton. Photography matters because it is documenting. My grandparents, my mom and my dad's side, both were World War II vets, Purple Hearts, both of them. And maybe maybe my parents have photos, but I wish I could talk to them. I wish I could ask them. I wish they could see this world we live in now where like we have all this wokeness, but there's been good changes. Like there was a bunch of racism back then, and ask them, what do you think? Right? Like I think they would laugh at some of the silliness of what we've got going on now. Ridiculous. I think they'd also say, hey, there was a lot of things that we think are wrong, that we see were wrong and we fixed for the better. And I would love to see the world they lived in and the cars they drove, and everybody smoked back then, and the table they sat at and all that stuff. And so my hope, and this is actually something I'm thinking about for this next year, my hope is that I take a bunch of pictures so that if I were to die tomorrow, when that time does run out, that my family, my kids, my grandkids, God willing, could look back and say, this is what my dad was, this is what he did. And maybe I want this story to be more than my dad took a lot of pictures. My dad played hockey. I want my story, my dad spent a lot of time with me. Yeah, that's what I want him to say. I think getting blown up here. Work. I'm supposed to be working, see? The problem becomes, in this digital age, all these thousands of pictures, what do I do with them? How do I make them such that if something were to happen to me, my wife or my kids would know to go on that one hard drive and look at all these folders? I need to make them accessible. I need to put them somewhere that they know they exist so they can go through later in life and find them. And if you guys have a suggestion, if you made it this far in the video, I see I've recorded for 12 minutes already. If you see in the video, have a suggestion, put it below. Like, how do you archive, in the case of something happens, your family can find it? Not just on a random hard drive in my basement that, who knows, right? Fire happens, like, is there a site I can pay money to with unlimited cloud storage? What happens to that company if they go down? That kind of stuff. But photography matters. It makes me more in the moment. I see things more. I try to make the best out of a chaotic situation. It's metaphorical, if you will. And nothing else, I am archiving my family. I'm archiving our experiences. And I think that's the most important piece of why this matters. Me making these dumb videos about the 400 cameras I've tried and the gear, it doesn't actually matter at all, actually. It matters very little, right? Maybe you want to determine like why you should own a Leica, how many pictures you'll probably miss because you can't focus. Or maybe you want to talk about this Sony and talk about how it's amazing, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like it's built to last like a Leica, so maybe it only lasts 3 or 4 years. I don't know. Maybe you're interested in that stuff. Again, that's not a knock on Sony. It's just the reality of digital cameras, especially new ones. With that, I guess I'll stop my rambling. I just wanted to share my thoughts of why photography matters and the one-way transactional element of time and how we as a society do not use it wisely. We waste it. Sitting on Twitter and our phones at night, stupid. That's stupid. My dad, he retired. One more thing. My dad retired later in life, and he might see this. It's not a negative comment. I think he hoped, and I had certainly hoped, that he'd have more time so he could do more active things like go on some hikes or go do some golfing or whatever. And for the minute he retired, he had a bunch of back issues that have really made it near impossible or difficult for him to be that active. And so he worked his whole life, and he did it for us as a family, and I can never thank him enough for that. But he needs to enjoy it too. And it's unfortunate that he did not get the opportunity to really put down the pen and paper, put down the keyboard, if you will, and go do as much as he wanted. So, he's working on it. He's doing some physical therapy. He's getting better, and we try to do as much as we can. But his best years were during his working years. And that's the case for most of us. So I think there's a balance you got to find there. If you're working at a crappy job that you're miserable, is it really worth it? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe you have to provide for your family, and that's the only end, that's the end all be all. But are you just afraid to move? Are you complacent and wasting that time in a job that doesn't appreciate you? You're not putting in as much as you nearly can. All that stuff. It's something to think about. It really is. I think we're all going to be faced with a hard reality more and more as time comes up. Obviously, COVID was a shot, and I don't think we're done with major events here in the next 1 to 2 years. Just my prediction. I don't know anything more than anyone else. It's just my thoughts. But yeah. All right. I'm done. If you made it this far, thank you so much. A couple more gear videos coming up. You'll see skiing stuff next month. And I want to do a Q&A video. I want you guys to write. I put a post out on YouTube. Go find like the posts that I make and go comment. You guys can ask me anything. If it's outlandish, I'm not going to answer it, obviously. But ask me any question you want. And I will do a answering your questions type video like many other YouTubers do. But I get a lot of questions in the background through Instagram or, through direct messages. People email me quite a bit. Be glad to answer some of those questions. All right. Have a great rest of the week. I'll see you next time I make a video. Who knows when that is? I don't know. See ya.